I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with some 5 stars. So we're in a little bit of a different angle today because I have need of my computer. Today I thought we'd just do a nice little chill hangout video today where I look back on my 5 stars and see if they are in fact still 5 stars. I don't know how many we're going to do. I have my Goodreads open and I don't know how many of their 5 stars there are, but I am a very generous rater. So we probably won't go through too many. It just depends on how long I talk about things. But I thought we would just have a chill hangout where I discuss some 5 stars and if they would indeed continue to be 5 stars. So it is currently freezing where I am. I have a very fluffy blanket, a nice warm drink, and let's just dive in. I hope you hang out with us, get your own nice warm drink, and let's talk about some 5 stars, whether or not they still are. I have pulled up my Goodreads, everything that I've read, and I've kind of put it as far as like categorized it by rating, let's say. So we've got the 5 stars at the top, and we're just going to go through some of these. I don't know what the order is as far as like what's at the top and what's not, but it's my rating. It's the 5 star at the top. So that's what we're looking at. So the first one that I see is The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn, which is the second in the Bridgerton series. I would say this is probably still accurate. I really love the Bridgerton series. So this, I think, would still be accurate. I know that the average rating is actually lower than I thought it was going to be. I know that it's very different than the TV show. So if you were someone who really likes the TV show and then you read the book, you probably would be disappointed. I know there are some people who read the book and then watched the TV show and feel like they left out some stuff. So I liked it. I just really like the Bridgerton series. So that one I think would still be a 5 star. The next one is Dreamland by Sarah Dessen, which I read in high school. And I don't know if this would still be a 5 star because this one is the first, I think I gave it 5 stars because I was so enthralled with the story. It was the first book that I'd read where there was like an actual serious topic being discussed. This one specifically is about an abusive relationship. I don't know much more than that. Like I don't remember much more than that. So it could be. I think I've read many things since then. This is definitely a YA book, so I don't think it would hit the same. I think it would probably be a 4 star now if I reread it. So yeah, that one I don't know if it would still be a 5 star. That one might be a 4 star. The next one is another historical romance. It's a Lisa Kleypas book. It's the last in the Wallflower series, Scandal and Spring. That one I think would probably still be a 5 star. I really like this series. I love the Wallflowers. I love the connection between all of them. And I'm currently reading a series by Lisa Kleypas that is connected to the Wallflower series. Not this one specifically. It's more connected to the third book, the woman Evie that we follow in that book. But I do know that this character plays a part in one of the books that I read recently. So yeah, I think I have this one. I think I haven't read it. It was like I read it in 2022, right? Yes. So I think that would probably still say the same. The next one is 1984 by George Orwell. Again, I don't know. This one I feel like could change. This was at a time, I read this when I was in, I want to say 9th grade. And I discovered a lot of like classics and I really enjoyed this one. I think I wouldn't enjoy this as much because this is about the time that I also read like Brave New World for the first time and I have reread that since and it's just okay. Like as a reread, I feel like I didn't love it as much. So I don't know. I think this one, also I think when I read this, I probably didn't understand a lot of what was going on, and there's probably a lot more metaphors in this book than I really processed. So I think it would probably hit different now, and I don't know if it would still be a 4 star because think it would be too real. Like, I feel like some of the stuff that's in here would be way too realistic for like the culture and the time that we live in. So I'm gonna go with this is probably. I still think I would enjoy it. I think there's still a sense of nostalgia with it. I think I would give it 4 stars, but I think that yeah, I don't know if that would still be a 5 star. The next one I know for a fact would not be a 5 star. That's Sanditon and the Watsons, which are two. Basically, it's a bind up of 2 unfinished novels that Jane Austen never wrote because she passed away. I think that I gave this 5 stars because it was Jane Austen. There's no plot to these books. I do think there's one that I liked more than the other. I think I liked the Watsons more than Sanditon, because there was more to grab onto with the Watsons than there was Sanditon. Now, these books have both been finished by other people, and I remember correctly, I think I have a book where one of these was turned into a full-length novel, and it was written by Jane Austen's niece, and that's as close as we're going to get to her actually finishing it. I haven't read that one yet because the copy I have looks like a textbook, and it's honestly terrifying. But like, there's nothing to this. This is just the beginnings of stories. There's like not a lot to grab onto. This book is like this big. It's super tiny. So like, why did I give this 5 stars? I don't know. I think it was just because it was by Jane Austen and I was a big Jane Austen fan. I've actually changed drinks because my lunch arrived. So ignore the fact that I'm not holding a mug anymore, but this is actually warm. Okay. The next book is The Great Gatsby. Again, this was a book that I read for school, and it's one of those stories that like, I grew up knowing about it. I knew what the story was about. I knew the vibe of everything, but I hadn't read it until I really want to say I was like a junior in high school. Is that right? Maybe. Again, this is one that I don't know if I would love or give 5 stars. I think I would still give it a high rating. I don't know if I would give it 5 stars because I have read many, many, many retellings of this story, which is not the fault of the original story, but I'm well versed in the story. I know the story. I've seen it 1,000 times. I don't know if rereading the original would be as much fun, because I know what happens and I know the craziness that is the story, and also the writing. I don't know if the writing would hit the same way as it would when I read it the first time. I just don't know. So this one feels like maybe not a full 5, but like a 4. That feels doable. The next one is Night by Elie Wiesel, which is a nonfiction novella of sorts. I read this in school, and I did reread this some point on my channel. I think it still got 5 stars, so I'm gonna say, yeah, it'll stay a 5 star. It was one of the. I didn't read The Diary of Anne Frank in school. Actually, I don't think I've read that to this day. So this was the first-hand account I think I got of the Holocaust. Like, obviously, I've read many, many books and many stories and many history books and nonfiction books, but also like fiction books about this time. But this was the first one. I read this in high school, where I was exposed to the concentration camp specifically. Now, this one follows Elie when he's in the concentration camp, but also at the very, very end of the war, because obviously he survived the end of the war and the concentration camps, but like the horrible nature of how those ended. So like, this is not a fun story by any stretch of the imagination, but it is one that I think the way it's written is beautiful, and I think the story that's being told, and I know there's just something about this story specifically and the way it's crafted in this book. I think it would still get 5 stars because I've read it twice. I have reread it since. I read it the first time and it got 5 stars. Okay, the next one is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is the 4th Bridgerton book. This is Colin's story. I don't think this would get a full 5 if I reread it, because there are elements of the story that I overlooked because I loved these characters, and I loved the romance. And like, these are characters I wanted, like, I'd grown to love in the first 3 novels, and I was really excited that we were getting their story. There's definitely some things that like Colin specifically does that I don't love. I feel like it was a little out of character. I'm talking to some of my friends who just are big Bridgerton fans and couldn't get through this book. I feel like it has made me rethink it a little bit, but at the same time, like, I remember reading it and going, "Colin, what are you doing?" So, do I still think it would be a high rating? Yes, I still think it would probably be a 4, but I don't think this would be a 5 if I reread it because some of the character shifts, specifically with the male lead. The female lead, I don't think she does too much shifting in this one, but like with him, we see a lot of change. All right, the next one is Jewels of the Sun, which is the first in the Gallagher series by Nora Roberts. Again, I don't know. This one is one of those weird ones where like I could see it being 5 stars, but I also could see it changing. I have a love-hate relationship for Nora Roberts' writing. I love her stories. I don't like the way that they're written. I think they're kind of like you as a reader feel very distant from the characters. So I've given the ones that I've read, I feel like I've given high ratings, but having kind of sat with these stories, I don't know if this would still be a 5. This is the first in a trilogy. I haven't finished the other 2 in this series, which I do plan to do at some point. Because it's basically like this little Irish or Scottish town, and the 3 books follow these 3 siblings. And this one just kind of kicks everything off. I've read a lot of stuff in the same vein as this before, so I'm thinking I could enjoy it, I could not enjoy it. Like I honestly don't know. So this is a weird one for me to like still be a 5 star, I guess. All right, the next one is The End, which is the final book in the series of Unfortunate Events, number 13. I read this when I was little, and then I reread it in 2020. I did a whole like series reread with my friend Serena. She had not read the series. I had, and I was rereading it. And then we watched the Netflix adaptations as we finished the books, which was really cool. So I don't know. I mean, it's still a 5 star. I don't know if I gave it a 5 star when I read it the first time, but I gave it a 5 star this time. So like I don't remember a ton from this one specifically, but I'm gonna say that it would stay because I've read it recently enough that I think it might hold up. All right, the next one is Offer from a Gentleman, the third of the Bridgerton. We're getting a lot of Bridgerton today. I don't know about this one. This one was really early in my Bridgerton reading. I think there are elements that I really liked about it. I don't know if it would still be a 5 star. I think it might bump it down to a 4. I don't think there's anything wrong with this story. I just think that there are other stories and books in this series that I have enjoyed more. This one, plot-wise, felt like one of the more tame, I don't want to say boring, because it wasn't boring, but one of the more tame books as far as, like, the plot and, like, what's going on. But I still really enjoyed it. I mean, it's Benedict's story. I'm really excited that we're going to get him next in the Bridgerton series. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this story. I wonder if I should reread this at the beginning of next year as a reminder. I don't know, but I did that with Anthony, and then I kind of got mad at the series because they changed so much. I don't know. It's like a Cinderella retelling of sorts, and I think it felt weird that this was like the one book in the entire series that was sort of a retelling. The others didn't really have that at all. So maybe that's where my confusion is, but you know what? This one I think could go either way. The next one is House of the Scorpion. It's a first in a series. Hold on, this is brand new information for me. I read this book in middle school. What? This came out in 2013. So 10, 9 years after. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. I've just gone down a rabbit hole. I need to I need to know more. So this is one that I have been removed from a lot. I read this when I was, like I said, in middle school. I was specifically in 7th grade. I remember this because my science teacher had a book club that met on Fridays during lunch, and this was one of the books that we read for this book club. Now, I was really bad about keeping up with actually reading things on time, so I never made it to the book clubs where we talked about it. I just made it to the book clubs where we picked the book. But I read this one. I don't think I read it on time, but I did finish this one, and it was the first like sci-fi-esque story. I don't know. I feel like this one would not hold up just because I will have put it, like, there's a lot of nostalgia attached to this book for me, and I would have built it up, like hyped it up in my head, and it won't be as good as I remember. And that's why I think if I reread it, it would not hold up. But I kind of want to reread it. I know I still own it somewhere because, like, there's a second one. It also had to do with cloning and drugs, and it was like the drugs part was weird, and the cloning, I mean, wasn't as weird, but like it was. I hadn't read anything like it before, and I think I was too young to process some stuff because I remember there being a talk about Mexico and like the border and the sense of like the way that the map was. It was not the U.S. or the North America that we know. Like the borders were in different places. I don't think I processed that, but like that's in my head somewhere. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't. All right, the next one is The Westing Game. This is a mystery thriller. I don't know where this is. I know we have it still, or we should still have it. I just don't know where I put it. I don't know if this would still be a 5-star. I really enjoyed it. It's like this house that has a lot of tenants, and the person who owns the house dies and has a lot of fortune, but he's like sets up this like inheritance game kind of thing where you have to figure things out in order to get the fortune, become like his heir or something. I think I've read so many books since then that have bigger twists, and I remember very explicitly who wins the game, I guess. But I don't know if it'd still be fun for me. It's also really, really short. So like this was a good, like, I think first step into that mystery thriller vibe, but I don't think it would hold up for me because I've read so many things since then. The Air, I just talked about this in, I think it was my last video that I did. This would for sure still be a 5-star. Like, I don't care if I reread this and didn't love it as much, it would still be a 5-star. Like, I have very vivid memories of this book, and there's very little this book could do that would bump it off of the 5-star list. That 5-star. I'm not even questioning that one. This one is The Queen's Fool, which is the very first Philippa Gregory book that I read. It's the 13th in the Plantagenet and Tudor series. I have not reread this since I read it I was definitely in college. I still think it holds up. I mean, I've read a lot of Philippa Gregory books, and they very rarely get less than 3 stars. Actually, they very rarely get less than 4 stars, I think. Let's take a look, shall we? Will it show me my rating? Yes. 4,444. I did read that one. I don't know why there's not a rating on that. Anyway, 4,454. Yeah, and then again, I don't know why that's not in here. Anyway, some of these ratings didn't show up, but I definitely gave them 4 or 5. Like, I remember those 2 books. So yeah, I didn't give anything less than a 4-star. And I've been reading those over the last few years. So I'm gonna say that one still would be a 5-star because I really enjoyed that one. The next one, again, I talked about this one in that video I did recently, The Magician's Nephew. I don't know if I would give, I still think very highly of this one, but because of the writing style of this book or the series, and how much I don't love the writing style of the series, I'm going to say there's a very good chance this will not still be a 5-star if I read it today, purely based on the writing style. But I enjoyed it so much when I read it originally. I don't remember when that was. I know it says 18 here, but like that's when I started this Goodreads account. So anything that I read before then got added on that date. So it was definitely before then. Next one's kind of a weird, The Polar Express. That's a weird one to put in. It's a picture book. I love this picture book. Sure, I think it would still be 5 stars. I mean that one's fun. And another Bridgerton book, When We Were Wicked, Bridgerton number 6. This one, if it's the one I think it is, this would definitely still be 5 stars. Because I think this was my favorite one in the series. Yeah. Okay, so this was the 6th one. This one follows Francesca. Yep. Okay. This one still is my favorite one, I think, in the series. So that would still be a 5-star. I don't know why that one specifically was so much better in my head than the rest of them, but like definitely 5-star. Fahrenheit 451, I don't think that would still be a 5-star. I really enjoyed it when I read it, and the reason I don't think it would still be a 5-star is because I don't know if it was before I started. I think I started the channel at this point. I read a graphic novel version of Fahrenheit 451, and it reminded me what the story was about. And I think there was a lot of the story that I did not pick up on or remember, and so I didn't enjoy my time with the graphic novel as much as I remembered having with this one. even though it's the same story. And like, I know it's a different format, but like the plot is the same. So I don't think this one would still hold up. I still think I would enjoy it. I would love to reread it still at some point, just because I'm curious. I am curious what things in this book that I have forgotten. And I read this when I was in middle school. I think I was in 8th grade. So I read this. I read To Kill a Mockingbird, and I read Macbeth. Like, those were the 3 books that we read that year. And I enjoyed all of them. And I know there's a lot of stuff, like a political themes within this book that I definitely didn't pick up on when I was younger. But I don't know. So I'm going to say probably not, based on remembering, like reading that graphic novel and being reminded what the plot is. All right, the next one is Love, Lucy, memoir by Lucille Ball. I read this in 2020. I still remember vividly reading this book and my thoughts and opinions on this book. So yeah, 5-star. I love the golden age of Hollywood when it's someone I care about. Lucille Ball is someone I care about. I love the I Love Lucy show. I would love to rewatch it at some point. I have them all on DVD. Like, I was obsessed with it, but I never finished the show for some reason. I got like 5 or 6 seasons in. And oh my God, I think it's snowing. Sorry. It's not going to stick. And it's more like spritzing than snowing, but like, apologies. My brain got distracted. Okay, the moral of the story is I love Lucille Ball, and I think that I know I would still love this book. The next one is Devil in Winter, which is the 3rd in the Wallflower series. This is one I mentioned earlier, where like the series I'm currently reading, The Ravenels, is connected to this book specifically. This was the first Wallflower series book I read. It was 5 stars. It would still be a 5-star. Like, I remember this series and this book specifically. Yeah, 5 stars. Not even a question. All right, the next one. These are such random books. Okay, Wizard of Oz. I don't know if I would still give it a 5-star. I don't remember reading this book. Like, I know I read it. Like, I remember the copy that we have. I think we still have it, which had these like beautiful illustrations in it. I know the story so much, but I don't know if I would enjoy the book again, since I've seen like the movie 1,000 times. I'm a big fan of the Wicked musical. It was the first musical that got me into musicals. Obviously, the Wicked movie is really popular right now, and the second one's coming out soon, if it's not already. I don't remember when this video is coming out, if it'll be out yet or not. But that whole world is very interesting, but I don't know if I would enjoy. I feel pretty confident saying I wouldn't enjoy this as much as I did back then. Same thing with Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. Like, I love this plot, this story, and I think it's really good if you watch it like Shakespeare's meant to be watched. It's a play. So if you watch like a movie adaptation of this or a play adaptation of this, those are so much more enjoyable than just reading the script, in my opinion. So also, Shakespeare's really hard to understand just reading it. I can't tell you how many books I had that was like those No Fear Shakespeare books or something, that would have like on one side of the page it would have like the original Shakespeare text, and then on the other side of the page it would be like translated into like a modern day understanding of what they were saying. And that's how I read Shakespeare, because that was the only way I could understand what the heck was going on. So don't think it would be 5 stars, but I do think I would enjoy it still. This one specifically, I do really like the story of Much Ado About Nothing. I think that's a fun one. All right, Bridge to Terabithia. Maybe. It's been such a long time, and that's such a traumatic book. So I'm gonna go with. You know what? I'm gonna go with. I honestly don't know. This could go either way. I could still really love it. I don't know why I gave it 5 stars. Like, this does not feel like a 5-star book to me. But I was a really generous rater when I was younger. And also, I didn't really rate things when I was younger, because like that wasn't a thing yet. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. All right. Moving right along. Outlander. I think that I would not still give. This is a hard one for me, because I could see myself still giving it 5 stars and then not, because like I really enjoyed my time with this one. It introduced me to the world of Outlander. I now understand a lot of references that people make. I read the first 2 books in the series, maybe the first 3. I might have gotten through the 3rd one, and then called it quits. Is that right? No, I only did the first two, and I looked at the third one and went, that's way too long. And then I just called it quits on the series because they were just such long books. And I found myself not caring. And like the second one, I didn't enjoy as much. The first one introduced me to a lot of things. So like, it's not a happy story. I would look into lots of trigger warnings for this series, but it's an interesting romance, and I think there are elements of it that remind me of historical romances that I really enjoy. So this one could go either way. I honestly don't know. Persuasion, 5 stars. Still one of my favorite books by Jane Austen. Yeah. The Shack, again, I talked about this in a recent video. I'm gonna say yes, it would still be a 5-star because I'm afraid to reread it and be wrong. I remember watching the movie though and really enjoying that one. So that was one that I read in college. Hunger Games, I don't know if it would still be a 5-star. It was definitely a 5-star when I read it. Like, this is when I remember the feelings I had, and I read this book after I'd watched the movie because I wasn't like, this was not like a world, like I wasn't a big dystopian girl, which is weird. Like, I definitely grew up in the right time to be a dystopian girl, but I didn't really read a bunch of dystopians. And so this book didn't really interest me. And then I watched the movie and I went, okay, this could be interesting. And then I read the trilogy after watching the first movie. So I definitely had 5-star feelings when I read the first book. Don't know if it would still be 5-star now. I think it might. I don't know if the other two in the series would. I don't remember what I rated them, but I think there's a very good chance that this could still be a 5-star. All right, I think that's where I'm going to call it because we've been here for a while and we've talked about at least 20-something books. So let me know if this was interesting to you. Do you have any books that you think you might change your rating on based on how your reading has been now? A lot of these were stuff that I read before BookTube, actually. If we kept going down, I'm curious. We would start getting into books that I read when I had started Goodreads, and all of these would still be 5 stars. Like, I'm just scrolling a little bit and just doing a quick glance, and a lot of these would still be 5 stars. So, I don't know. This was a fun experiment for me. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want a part 2. I'd be happy to do this again and start where I left off. But I think it's very interesting to see how if you think that your opinions would change. And I think a lot of things would change based on a reread, because I don't know some of these would still be 5 stars if I had reread them. I know for a fact some of them would still be 5 stars if I read them. But I think there is a chance that some of these would not be. And that's okay. Your reading changes. And that's, I think, the cool thing about being a reader is like what I was into 5 years ago is totally different than what I was into 10 years ago when I was in high school, when I was in college. And what I'm going to be interested in reading in the next 5 years is going to be totally different than what I'm interested in reading right now. So like, it's just, I think it's very fascinating to see how your reading tastes change, and of course how your bookshelves change along with it. But that, I think, is all I have for you guys today. This was a little bit more chill, more relaxed. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's some books that you have on your list that you have given 5 stars that you think may or may not still be 5-star reads. I'd be curious what, if you're a Goodreads person, if you can go back and see what your first one was, like what if it would still be 5 stars for you. But this was a fun experiment for me, so I hope that you guys enjoyed. And if you want to comment something but you're not sure when to comment 5 stars, because that's exactly what we were talking about today. So leave all of the stars in the description box, in the comments below. But that is all I have for you guys today. I'm getting very distracted by the fact that it is currently snowing, so I'm gonna go. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome growing family. I've got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so go check all that out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.